Welcome back, everybody. Another episode of the Fully Corked podcast. My name is John. My co host is Charlie, and we are so excited that you are listening today. Charlie, what's going on?
Oh, not much, John. It's been I think it's been about 2 weeks since we've last recorded, so a lot to catch up on. For me, it's been a lot of travel. Went to Arizona, Puerto Rico, and Chicago, all in the time since we last talked. So, um, yeah, it's good to be home. It's good to be home and doing what I love, talking with you.
Yeah, love that. This is like my favorite part of the week. And I guess to make it a little bit better, should we get into the wine?
Yeah, yeah. So we got a Cab Sauv 2022 Paso Robles. It's the title of the actual wine, Paso Dragon. Kind of cool bottle.
Very cool
Um,
bottle. From
I
Trader
feel
Joe's, right? Like,
correct.
yeah.
We're staying loyal this week, and if you have anything to add about the wine, you throw that in there now. I feel like one of those kids who's like, again, speaking to our middle school audience, like you're cramming right before a quiz, and you're like, I'm reading it right now. So
Yeah, read the back label. I'll try to give my opinion on this. So this is a California Cabernet, which is solid. Cabernets typically are like a bigger, heavier, bolder wine. What that means is it's going to be like very rich in fruits. Kind of like dark red fruits. We're talking like raspberries. People will say they taste plum. Um,
oh,
and then I think like when it's like really rich, it's like you get hints of like dark chocolate, stuff like that. So expect this to be big, bold in your mouth, and kind of like an explosion when we sip. So I mean, yeah. What was the back of the bottle say?
the back of the bottle had a number of convincing things in my mind. I like that they say, so hidden in the hills northwest of town is Lake Nacimiento, a favorite haunt of the locals. Whenever anything is referred to as a haunt, I like it. Like if you go to your regular haunt out in San Francisco. So kind of bought in on that. And then look at the back cover. It shows the river and like Lake Delta actually goes into the dragon on the front.
Oh,
Really, really cool bottle design, actually.
I mean that's probably why we picked this one up.
Yeah,
this
yeah. I
was
mean,
this was your
yeah,
choice, Charlie. I
exactly.
have to imagine it was the bottle that
The
sold you.
bottle helped. The bottle helped. All right. Should we pour it up and get a
Let's
little
pour it
taste test
up.
going?
Yeah, I'm gonna give. Let's see. It's a Friday night when we're recording this. I'll give myself a fair pour. We'll see what the fans think. I could have probably put a little bit more in, but we got to let it open up. These big, bold Cabernets, they take a little bit, Charlie.
I, yeah, I don't doubt your process. Did you
Yeah,
take a sip?
I haven't. No, here. I'm
All right,
gonna smell it
I'm
first.
taking one. I'm downloading this wine with this sip right now. I feel like this might be a good showing for me on the wine review. I don't know why I got confidence. I got a little confidence today.
Oh man, Charlie, let's right off the rip. Let's get it. What do you have for us?
Well, I actually just took my first sip, so you go first, and I'll do some piggybacking.
Oh, this one blasting me in the face. Not quite like last week's honeysuckle. This one is gonna
Oh,
settle in a little bit. I was getting kind of exactly what I talked about. I think cherries. If we're talking like a dark fruit, I'm getting some cherries from this. You'll note that it has kind of some stickier tannins. It has a little bit more of a feel that sticks to your mouth. It doesn't go away right away. And I gotta let it open up, get the air into it, and really let this thing start speaking to me as we move forward in this podcast. How about you?
yeah. No, I agree with you. I think um, definitely full-bodied wine here, so I'm excited to see how it opens up. I actually I'm about to volunteer something that I might not usually, John. I'm
Hmm.
getting a non fruit note in here. I'm curious if you are too. Are you getting even the smallest amount of black licorice in this thing?
Ooh, I like that call.
The tannins. I'm reading the tannins now. I come back from Puerto Rico, and now I
Oh man, you
I'm
should
a
have
little
seen
more
my face
educated.
off my first sip.
Oh, I
I kinda
did.
did a
I know you
double
can't
take. I
see it.
was like
I
it
know you
looked like
can't
I've
see
just
mine, but
yeah, I can't see yours, but it looked like I just had, like, a Sour Patch Kids or something, and that might be what it is, like a little candy, a little black licorice on the palate.
maybe even I mean, I think the finish might have, like, a little kick of vanilla in there too. It's a little playful finish.
Wow.
Um,
Wow, so just to recap this wine review, we got dark red fruits, cherries, we have black licorice, and then we have a hint of vanilla on the palate to finish it
yeah.
off. Big, bold, juicy wine. Fantastic.
And I think this one we'll see on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th glass, how it opens up, but it kinda out of the gate for a relatively modestly priced bottle, I think this is a sub 10 or maybe like a $12 bottle.
$7 bottle. I just picked it up. You're talking bang for buck. Trader Joe's comes through again. I would drink this thing at least one more time. I'd buy a bunch just to like have this artwork in my house. I mean, come on, look at that. It is so cool.
I'll show people the bag too.
Yeah, yeah. Let them see it all. I mean, we're not sponsored by Trader Joe's yet, but once we are, we're really gonna start telling you guys to go to the wine aisle and buy these so you can drink them along with us.
If we get sponsored by Trader Joe's, we might cease podcast production. It's just drinking wine all day, every day, and doing their Trader Joe's sommelier events.
Feel like we could do like a wine tasting on a deserted island for Trader Joe's. Could be kind of like a fun ad campaign.
I how do you think they'd frame it? Like, we've left these 2 men deserted and on an island with just, 3 cases of wine, follow them along. I feel like we would just get really hammered and then, like, pass out in the sand. I'd get burnt.
I'd have to do your back.
Yeah, you'd have to get my back.
You'd be telling me to get in there.
Yeah.
It'd be all uncomfy. We'd be sweaty and
I
sandy.
had that same experience again in Puerto Rico
Oh,
where
you did?
so I was out there for a bachelor party. When we were on the boat, I was like brokering a back for back deal. And the second the person said yes, they regretted it because I was saying get in there again. And this was on a boat. We were like on a bigger boat with like other groups. And like I knew that they did not like that instruction. But
They must not have listened to the podcast. They would have known it was coming.
they I actually think this is one of the rare people on earth who may have actually listened to a good chunk of the podcast. So
Wanted to see it in action.
yeah. Okay, but yeah, so the recap, so first I was in Scottsdale. My brother and his wife live out there, or they live in Mesa, but we did like an family get together Airbnb out there. And really the only thing to report from that, and I'm curious if you have the same experience. I know I will do this in the future if I'm lucky enough to have children, but I'm watching this show with my dad. It's after like a long day, Three Body Problem on Netflix, if you've ever heard of it, seen it. And it's the first episode, and I don't know what the hell's going on, neither does he, but he keeps drifting off to sleep. And then I was saying to him, because he already looked tired when we were starting, like, you have to watch this because I don't want to watch this alone. And so he drifts off to sleep. And then I wake him up and he goes, well, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, well, it's because you're asleep. And I don't know either. It's the first episode. And so this happens 2 more times. He goes, give me one more chance. All I need is one more chance. And then happens again. And so then I wake him up again. I threaten to pause the TV show. I threaten to end it all. And he goes, no, I know I don't deserve it. I need one more chance. Meanwhile, his other argument is I wasn't even sleeping. Like, you can't prove it. At one point when I woke him up, he said, prove I'm sleeping. So then the next time he fell asleep, I take a video, like a Snapchat video of him.
Yeah.
And when I wake him up, he's going, I wasn't sleeping. I was in a different what do you say? I was in a different state of reality. And so I'm just sitting there like pissed, obviously, because it's like 4 or 5 times he does this to me and refuses to like. I mean, I've done the same thing to other people, and I will do that in the future, I think. But that was that's good family time. Get to do that with your dad. Also, shout out to my dad. Just turned 72 yesterday as of filming this. Or 71. Wow. Ooh. The Paso Dragon already kicking in. But yeah, happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Have you had that experience at all with people? Like difficult people to watch shows with?
Yeah. I mean, you know what a pet peeve of mine is if I'm watching a show and then I look over and somebody's on their phone. Has that ever happened to
Oh
you?
yeah. Yeah.
like, I get that attention spans these days are as low as they've ever been, and it's usually just scrolling Instagram or scrolling TikTok, and it's like, you're already consuming media, like, you don't need to keep consuming more media, but yeah, I mean, I've been that guy falling asleep before, so I do have some sympathy for your dad because I get it. You're just battling it, and usually, I'm almost feeling, like, a little awkward because I mean, I touched on it in the last pod, but I get the head bobbing, I get sleep paralysis, like, it's not a good look when I'm asleep and others aren't, so I, like, really try to fight it, but,
Mhm.
yeah, typically when that happens, like, I just feel like such a loser, but I, like, excuse myself.
Yeah.
And,
No,
yeah.
it's such the right move. I can't do that. Like, I'm a known couch sleeper, and I just give in. It's too sweet.
I almost feel like you enjoy the couch slumber.
I do, I do. I
It's like a little
it's
treat you're giving to yourself after a long day.
it's like that's the worst thing about it, is it's a present to me in that singular moment and a huge fuck you to me the next day. Like, it's like you're back, or like, I guess I'm not that old, but like at 28, you wake up a little creaky off the couch. Like, often I'm waking up with like my contacts like plastered to my eyeballs, like dry eyes, unbrushed teeth. Like, it's a mess, and it's really something I need to focus my efforts on to improve, because it's like, if you do that during the week too, that's a scary
Oh,
place
I
to be.
can't imagine waking up on my couch midweek. That's crazy. I haven't not done that in years, luckily.
Dude, I imagine this. You wake up and it's, 7:45, you need to work in 10 minutes, and you wake up 5 feet from your computer with your day-old contacts in, and, like, I grind my teeth, so I have to sleep with a mouth guard,
Uh-huh.
and it's really feels sinful to not get that in. There was a time after I, totaled my car where I was sleeping with, my mouth guard, an eye mask, just for general, peace. And I was living downtown at the time, so it was super noisy. So I was wearing earplugs when I was sleeping. And then also, because my nose was fucked up from the crash, I was wearing a breathe right strip too, and my mouth guard. So it was like a full like kit in order to sleep. So
Outside of,
luckily,
like, a sleep apnea machine, you were fully fitted out there,
yeah,
like
I mean, very, yeah, very well kitted there.
wait,
But
and when you sorry, taking a step back, when you totaled your car, was
mhm.
that your fault or was that somebody else's fault? Because you said it was a crash.
Yeah, that was when and this is not my opinion, this is the opinion of an insurance agency or multiple, 100% not my fault. I was going downtown Minneapolis, I was going down a one-way, and the other driver was going down the intersecting one-way, and here's the kicker, is he was going the wrong way in that one way. So I had a green light, I go into the intersection, we smash our cars to bits in the
Oh
middle,
my gosh, so he
and
was just
then
motoring the wrong way down a one-way and you basically turned into him?
well, we were both going straight, so it was, like, kinda like front of car to front of car in the middle. It was no turn, like, he was if it's, I guess no turns, we just smashed in the middle.
Wait, so but you guys didn't see each other coming, but you're driving.
No, 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 my one way, if it was a two-way, one of us would have to turn, but think of it this way, I'm going north-south on a one-way
Mhm.
that only runs north. He's going east-west on an east go or it doesn't the direction doesn't matter, but he's going in an intersecting one-way.
Okay.
And so he's going the wrong way. And I guess I don't know. I wish I had a diagram or my video was working, because my hand motions were really really good there. Essentially, moral of the story is he is going the wrong way in a one way. He doesn't even have a light because of that, right? Like, there's no signage. So he comes flying through. We smash into each other. He's like, it's rainy. He's like a 17-year-old driving his mom's Lexus downtown. Probably does not drive downtown. And the first thing he says to me when we get out of this car is, or like after, like, are you okay? Is, you had a red. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, you had no lights. You're driving the wrong way in a one way and going 30 miles an hour. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Wait, that's awesome. So he gets out of the car and just immediately starts gaslighting you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, kids these days, they're terrible. And Dude, my phone was in my center console of my car, got launched all the way to like the trunk area. Like, and the car was absolutely destroyed. Like, no question, totaled. This was the weekend before we went to LA and saw Rufus.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, man. All things considered, you came out of that okay if you were just wearing, like, a nose guard to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Rufus concert helped the recovery somehow. I'm not sure.
That helped me reach new spiritual heights. That was great
Good
stuff.
time. We'll have to get back out to LA soon.
Yes, we will.
Okay, so to continue in the recap, between Scottsdale and Puerto Rico, so no, not trying to take a pot shot at the marriage or the groom or whatever in this situation, but this bachelor party started on a Wednesday, which, as most of you know, is the middle of the work week. And so that's kind of a pain, and it's in Puerto Rico, so that's also a destination. And so we go out there. Just before that, I went to the Wolves game 2 game against the Suns. Very satisfying. We'll talk a little Wolves later, but really, bachelor party, ton of fun. Old San Juan was awesome. But the most important story from this is so we go on this bar crawl in Old San Juan, and at the end of the night, it's bar closed. We're getting kicked out of the bar, or whatever. And so there was 6 people on this bachelor party. Me and 2 others figured that the other 3 were already back at the Airbnb. So we call our Uber, get our affairs in order, we get back, and we go into the Airbnb and nobody's there, which includes the groom or like husband to be. We get back, we're calling them, nobody's picking up. So we're like, okay, that's not good. And so then I get a call on my phone from another member of the group, and he's saying, "Where are you guys?" His 2 people. This is so hard without names, so I apologize. I'm kind of fumbling right now.
Let's give them some fake names, and just for everybody that's listening, we don't wanna we don't wanna just, like, throw our friends under the bus or whatever, so let's call these guys how many names do you need?
3 names.
Okay, Harry, Todd, and Winston.
Okay, so Harry will be our responsible man who's calling me, and he's saying Todd is passed out drunk, literally horizontal on the streets of Old San Juan. It's hard to get him into an Uber right now. And the other guy, Winston, is also just blackout drunk. So it's going to take us a second. And so I'm in bed by the time they get back. There was a number of issues on the way home. Winston comes to find that he has lost his phone and wallet in the Uber. And so
No.
he determines that once he gets back into the Airbnb. So Winston, in losing your wallet there, that is also losing your ability to leave Puerto Rico. Like, you're not going to get on a flight without an ID. So
Oh,
like you kind
man.
of need that. And Winston, instead of attacking that issue with a sense of urgency, does these 2 steps. So imagine being Harry observing this, responsible Harry observing Winston doing this as his kind of attempt to solve his own problems. First, he goes and one of the call, let's just say the 4th person's name is Michael, has bought a bag of weed. And so Winston goes and rolls the shittiest joint of all time, like doesn't grind anything, just puts a nug in a piece of paper and attempts to smoke it. I only know this because I saw the aftermath of it on the table the next day, and I was like, that is just diabolical
So
work.
this
Looks
was
terrible.
step 1 of
Your
getting
phone and
back
wallet back.
phone and wallet as Winston decides to smoke some scud.
Yep. Yeah, and then that it was. I mean, just and step 2,
Gets his wits about him.
this is the most interesting of the steps to me. And it is also the final step. He attempts to, in this twisted state, attempts to hack into my computer. And and this is how it's phrased to me when I'm waking up because I'm like, what the
Oh,
hell?
so you're asleep, like, you're
I am
getting
yeah,
this
I am
recap to all of you, and wait, so this step 1 was smoke scud weed, and then step 2 was hack into your computer?
Step 2 is open my computer and try and get into it. And the only reason I knew that that had occurred at all is I looked at my computer when I got up the next day and it was open, and I was like, I know I closed that. Like, what happened here? And so he was trying to hack in, which is I mean, think of that. You're typing in random passwords you think I would have made my password. That is that process. And so if you're again responsible Harry in this moment, you got to be like, are you shitting me? Like, let's get a hold of this Uber so that you can get your life back. And so ultimately, long story short, he manages to do that, much to the credit of responsible Harry, because he wasn't Winston didn't do very much there in his own, phone wallet recon. But very funny, happy there was really no big kinks, but it was a sweet trip, like Old San Juan.
How about Todd? Did was he
So
just a non-factor in this
Todd,
story?
once he got peeled off the streets of Old San Juan, I'm pretty sure. Well, actually, give me another name quick.
Ethan.
So Ethan, who was in my car, had Uber Eats $87 of McDonald's to our location. And so when Todd got back, he came in and grabbed the Mac, went to bed, and said he woke up with like 2 burritos on his chest.
No, he granolaed himself, but
Yeah.
burrito
Yeah.
on your chest is a little tough.
Tough stuff. But the whole thing was super fun. Like, honestly, a lot of good activities. Got out on a boat, went to Icacos, which is like a kind of like beachy island near Puerto Rico, I think.
Hell yeah.
And so ton of fun there. And then final step of that was getting back to Minneapolis, 11 p.m. on Saturday. Um, Dumping out that suitcase, filling a new one full of suits, and then going to Chicago. And really nothing to report from Chicago. That was work. But it's, I guess, the one thing right now. It's Friday, right? So I'm concluding what really was a 6-day work week that started on Sunday because I had a Sunday conference. Um, and that was on the back of a 4-day bachelor party that started on a Wednesday. So
Oh boy.
it's been fun, but it's so damn good to be home. Like, I'm over the moon to be back in Minnesota.
I feel that. A little bit of wind down time, hopefully a low key weekend for you. That'll be good stuff to recoup.
Yep. Yep, it should be good. I gotta say I'm a little scared right now though, because as you might imagine, in that time I skipped all of my runs, which included a
Oh
15
boy.
mile run. Um, and so now tomorrow I have a 16 miler. And one thing that likely will be a topic on our next pod, but I had one hero, a friend of the podcast who's done no marathon training, say to me, "I'll run 16 with you." And so
Oh,
we got a guy just throwing on the shoes and hitting the ground for 16 hard with me tomorrow. So
I'm
we'll see how it
so
goes.
excited to hear about this on the next pod. I know who you're talking about, and something he's got going for him that I've always been a little jealous about. He's got a big chest.
Yeah,
I'm wondering how that translates to the 16 miles.
it's
Like,
good. It's a good thing because if you can move your arms really fast, it makes your legs move faster. It's like an aerodynamics thing, maybe.
yeah, but he has a big chest. I honestly
Oh, counter
I
aerodynamics.
think it's counter aerodynamics, like, and those pecs are gonna be hammering him.
Yeah, the pecs might become an issue. And for what it's, I mean, I guess I'm bulkier than he is, so I think he'll be alright. The thing he really has going for him, and I think is a great trait in any runner, is this guy just has no quit. Not a single bone in his body quits. Like, he will break his feet before he stops running. So I actually, that's what worries me too, because I've been training for like 8 weeks, and if this 16 is like, if he beats me on this 16 miler, I'm gonna be so rattled. Like,
Well, you can't let him. You gotta find something that makes you angry and drives you forward.
I think I've already found it. It's gonna be drinking this entire bottle of wine, sleeping on my couch, peeling off at 7:45 to go run 16 miles. I think
There
that's
we
how
go.
I'm gonna do it. Uh,
I believe
s
in you.
Thank you. I'll report back. So what about you, John?
Yeah. I'm happy to share that I had a pretty fun weekend. I flew out to Phoenix, got to see some relatives, and most importantly, I went to game 4 of the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Phoenix Suns, first round playoffs, and I saw the Wolves take home a win, and they swept the Suns, and it was their first.
Oh, yeah.
This is an insane stat. Like, I knew I was downtrodden as a Minnesota fan, but like, this is as bad as it gets. This was the Wolves' first playoff series win in 20 years. The last time we did this was in 2004. So I have
Crazy
not
years.
felt postseason joy as a Timberwolves fan since 2004.
One thing to jump in there quickly, I did feel postseason joy one time as a Timberwolves fan between those 2 times, and it's when we had P-Bev and we won the, play-in game, then he got up on
Play-in
the table.
championship. It was the first year of it, and
Yeah.
Patrick Beverley, I think he was running something where he had, like, never missed playoffs or something,
Yes.
and basically, like, the Wolves go out, and for those that aren't aware, like, the play-in championship is, like, the land of misfit toys for playoff hopeful teams. Like, basically, you have to compete against all these bad teams to try to get the last spot in the playoffs.
To try and be the rightful worst team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, a bunch your ticket to get your ass kicked in 4 games by the 1 seed.
But the highlights from this are incredible, and if you go to YouTube and you just look up Pat Beverley play-in championship highlights, it's actually amazing. I mean, I
Good
think
watch.
he's brought to tears. He gets up onto the announcer's table, he rips his jersey off, he's throwing it in the air. It was amazing. You're right. That was the happiest I've felt maybe as a Minnesota sports fan outside of
Oh,
the
Minneapolis
Minneapolis
Miracle.
Miracle,
Yeah.
right? But,
Yep.
like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
those 2 moments in my life that I can, like, point to, like, that was a good Minnesota moment.
Well, and now I guess one other kind of peak for me is when I heard that we got Darnold. That is that's a good moment.
He is the perfect Viking. This is supposedly our new quarterback for next year. He kinda looks like a Viking, like, he's
Mm.
got this, like, Cro-Magnon face, he's got, like, this long hair. I want him to grow it out and look like Thor.
I actually really like that. If Darnold could grow it out a little bit, give us something to believe in, because all of his body of work in the NFL is not something to believe in.
That said, I'm in.
Yeah.
He's the quintessential Viking.
And
It's
I guess he's competing with JJ McCarthy now. It's I mean, who knows what's gonna happen there, but back to so you're in Phoenix, game 4, you witnessed the sweep. What was the stadium like? Were there Wolves fans?
actually a ton of Wolves fans. I wonder if it's because there's a bunch of, like, snowbirds from Minnesota that are down in Phoenix for the winter, but it was well attended. Like, in my section alone, I'd say, like, I counted, like, 10 Timberwolves fans that were, like, decked out in the gear, so it was
You
good.
love to see it. I mean, and that would be a dedicated snowbird at that point. We're talking about deep April snowbird activity, but I mean, it's kind of a nice destination. Like, I feel like it's a what's the term for a city that's not made up of local residents? It's like a transplant city.
Yeah.
So, makes sense. What else? I know you ran into a little trouble at the airport, but I don't wanna jump there if there's something in between.
No, that's about it. The only other noteworthy thing that I did in Phoenix while I was there, saw a rattlesnake. That was cool.
Ooh,
Like, I was staying at a place that was on a golf course, and it was taking a little cruise across the path that people drive out their carts on, and there were a bunch of carts, like, that were held up by it, and I don't know. I thought that was kinda cool, seeing a rattlesnake in person, but that's not necessarily podcast material.
wait,
It's pretty boring, to be honest.
can I jump in with something real quick?
Oh, yeah.
So there's another it just rattlesnakes and, it's making me think of Phoenix and it's, all about Phoenix. And when I was there, I was on a run and this was one thing I noticed in Phoenix or I guess Scottsdale area. These people that you see out and about in public were so much more receptive and nice than the people in Minnesota. And when I'm in Minnesota, I do the same thing. Like if I'm on a run and I see someone running past me, I look forward and pretend they don't exist and I just do my own thing. Everybody in Scottsdale, when I'd run past them, was either giving me like a thumbs up or like a peace sign or like a hang loose or something. And it was kind of awesome. Like, it's like I don't know, it's just friendly. It was much more human. It was like people know I exist, like, that's cool. Versus Minnesota, you do these, like, hard lake laps, and you don't get anything. You don't even get a look. So shout out to the people of Scottsdale, you're very kind.
Yeah, we love them. Yeah, so, I mean, some last, recaps for me. One, I mean, for those that follow the podcast on Instagram, they probably noticed that I did a wine review from the Phoenix airport. I got delayed about 3 hours,
Ooh.
and there's really nothing too noteworthy about that except for the fact that I was really upset. we were in this lounge, which was great because all the wine was free, but it was like sugary as all hell. And I was like, I was drinking a lot of it because I was upset about being delayed. And
Yep.
finally, we board the plane. We realized it's like a San Francisco airport issue. Like they're under construction. So they just basically like overbooked the flight paths. So they're simultaneously pissing off every other person that might have a flight into San Francisco at this time. And I guess I was like, my flight was just really far down on the priority list. And so we, it was supposed to be like take off at 7 p.m. I think we took off at like 10:30 p.m. And obviously that's a lot of time to kill. And I was killing my time basically by just drinking Sauv Blanc in the Amex lounge. So wasn't in the best shape, but I get off this flight and as I'm walking off, two flight attendants from United were like laughing in my face.
Oh,
They were, it wasn't just me.
walking off from the Amex lounge or what?
No,
Where?
from the flight. Like I had taken the flight, I had landed in San Francisco, and then as I get off the airplane, there's flight attendants laughing in my face. I was just like, I didn't like that. And they were kind of just like, "Oh, I bet everybody's so pissed right now. Like, ha ha ha, they must hate
Oh
us."
my
And
god.
like I was pissed, but I didn't hate the flight attendants cuz like
Yeah, it's not their
it's
fault.
not their fault. But then it kinda was. Like, I got really upset, and it bothered me. And
So
so
did you
then
drink some more Sauv Blanc?
no, the next day, I opened up my computer
Oh
and
yeah.
wrote a strongly worded email
Oh
to
yeah.
United just
Oh yeah.
complaining.
I love that.
I, like, kinda hoped that they'd give me, like, some concessions or something for my hardship.
They give you 5 more free glasses in the Amex lounge next time they delay you.
Yeah, or, like, a personal, like, "That a boy," from, like, a flight attendant the next time I get on a flight.
Yeah. You're you're a good little passenger.
Yeah, it's like when you're a little kid, like, I sit down and then the captain comes over and gives me, like, his flight wings.
Dude, I've actually been kind of again, this is, like, not at all the fault of the flight attendant, but I've just been forced to interact with them more due to the nature of the seats I've selected, which is largely in the back of the flight, and so I've been on all these flights that are overbooked, and then I'm bringing my big ass bag to the or it's not like some, like, oversized bag or something, but standard standard carry-on, and I see all of the bins are getting filled, so you're, like, starting to sweat, you do not wanna get your bag checked for free, like, thank you for that, like, now I have to wait another 30 minutes when I land.
Yeah.
And so on both of these 2 flights, I'm, like, following flight attendants up and down the aisles as the last man on the plane, like, trying to get my carry-on up in the bin, and it's, like, the worst experience ever. I don't know what the solution to it is, but, like, the flight attendants kinda rightfully I don't know if it's rightful or not rightful, I felt like I was being treated like a dumbass. I it's like, "This guy can't even figure out how to get his suitcase in a bin." It's like, "No, no, I actually was just the last guy on because I'm too cheap to get us to book a seat, and so now we're, like, opening every single bin and exhausting every opportunity," because whenever they say, like, "Do you just wanna check this through?" I say, "No. No, I don't. I would rather open every single bin in this flight than check it through." So, like
I feel like it's almost I liken you to, like, a little, like, 8-year-old in the supermarket, like, with your mom or something, and she's, like, checking in on everything, and you're kinda just watching, like
it is like that, dude, because it really how this process should work is I should give them my bag, and they should go figure out where it needs to go, and if it is ultimately getting checked through, then fine. But that I have to, like, follow them around like a little goblin
I was
up
gonna
and
say,
down.
are you just, like, goblining and, like,
Yes,
peering into,
and
like, the overhead compartment and, like, trying to, like, look for room?
yeah, like, you're kinda, like, moving some bags around. The other thing I hate about it is it gets you kind of, like not that ever interact with your entire flight that or the people on the flight you're with, but, like, I don't like that I'm being branded as this guy who can't figure it out. Like, I'm getting marched up and down the aisles, and everyone on the flight's probably looking at me being like, "What the hell's wrong with this asshole?"
That's exactly what they're thinking, because that's exactly what I think when I see that happening to
Exactly,
someone.
exactly. I've been on the other end of it. I know what I would think, and I wouldn't think kindly of that person who's, like, puppy dogging around with the flight attendant. It's a terrible look.
Wait, quick tangent. So this reminds me of a flight I was taking like super early in the morning a couple of years back, and it was kind of like a full family, and I don't think they had really like, and by full family, I mean like 15 people deep, like very full family, and like aunts, uncles, whatever. And I think probably like 80% of them have never flown on a plane before, and they did not understand that luggage needed to go into the, like, compartments up above,
Mhm.
specifically roller bags. Multiple people were taking their roller bags and holding them in their laps. They weren't understanding when the flight attendant was, like, saying, "Ma'am, I need you to take your roller bag away, and I need to put it up into the overhead compartment so we can take off." This was right behind me, and I look, and this lady's like, 1,000-mile stare back at the flight
Oh,
attendant, like, just
oh, I like it.
not getting it, not liking it, and the flight attendant is like, "Ma'am, we need this bag," and proceeds to lean because the woman that was holding this bag was on the window seat.
Yeah.
The flight attendant reaches over 2 people and tries to grab the bag, and then this woman, like, freaks out, and, like, her eyes get big, and she starts, like,
Oh,
clutching,
no.
and this is, like, a massive, like, c this is about as big as you get for, like, a carry-on, like, there's no chance it's going underneath the seat, and it was just, like, this battle for, like, carry-ons. Meanwhile, like, the rest of the family, like, they thought it was open seating, they were just sitting on, like,
Oh, no.
any and so, like, without fail, it was like happened to in the seat across from me, this guy comes up, he's got his ticket, and like, when somebody's in your seat and you don't wanna just be like a blatant asshole and be like, "Get out of my seat." Like, you kinda, like,
Yeah.
play it off like, "Oh, I'm looking at my ticket, like, it looks like,"
Yeah, you always show it to them too. You show them the facts,
Yeah.
like, "Don't mean to be a bother."
Yeah. But these people, I don't think had ever flown or, like, conceptualized flying, and, like, it was just a shit show, and, like, the flight attendants deserved a bonus after that flight. Like, I think we took off, like, 40 minutes late. Like, it was an actual clown show.
Okay, I got more flight things because 'cause I've been on a lot of flights lately. Okay, so here's another policy I don't love, is so, when they're doing the announcements in the descent, that's like seat backs and tray tables up, things under the seat, whatever. Why I've had multiple instances, and this is, like, not I know I've said I can't sleep on flights, but, like, I'm kind of in, like, like my dad, I'm in a different state of reality at that moment.
Mhm.
I'm not quite sleeping, but I also don't wanna be woken up from that state.
Mhm.
Even with my seat back up and everything is all good, I'm wearing my seatbelt, they wake you up and, like, tell you, like, "We're in the descent." Why am I being woken up? I don't get it, and I also in my last flight when I was coming home from Chicago, I found myself when I was woken up, and I was, like, completely slack-jawed, like, open
Oh.
mouth sleeping, like, I looked like a jackass. I know it, I mean, I guess I wasn't looking at a mirror at the time, but you can just tell.
Yeah, you can
And
tell.
this is after okay. This is after doing the puppy dog thing up and down in the aisle. I'm wearing a full suit, and then additionally, my carry-on bag was placed in a bin, so I'd become so accustomed to being at the back of the flight that I missed my seat going back. I went too far, and then when I got back to my actual seat, which was in the middle of the flight, all those bins all the bins were filled up, and so
No.
then I had to do the thing again. They put it back in, like, row 30, and so I'm trying to figure out in my mind, do I, right when we land, get up, go back to 30 and grab it so that I, like, am not a distract or, like, I'm not holding up the line, or am I gonna have to wait for everybody to clear out? And the answer was unfortunately the latter because I was hoping to spring into action, and then as with every flight, everybody gets out into the middle of the aisle right away, even if you're in row 28, and so they just blocked me off, and it sucked. Number 2 is I watched a film on one of these flights, and, I know we've talked about some movies lately. This movie blew me away, and I've seen it before, I've seen it a couple times. Have you seen The Longest Yard featuring Adam Sandler, Burt Reynolds, and Chris Rock?
Sadly, no.
No way, dude. Oh my go okay. Well, I mean, I guess it's not like a it's, it's
No, it's a classic. I didn't want to admit that to a bunch of people, like 100,000 people that listen to our podcast, but
yeah,
it's out there now.
it is a classic. The, okay, well, I got really nothing to say. I thought we would be able to talk about The Longest Yard, but it's really honestly, upon second watch, I think last time I watched it would have been, like, 10 years ago or something. That movie I think is actually good. I might make my second Letterbox review and have it be about The Longest Yard
Yes. Look,
because it was pretty damn good.
I mean, I gotta watch it now.
Throw it in the hat next time you're in LA.
Absolutely. And the last thing I'll say about getting woken up on airplanes, because this happens to me too, and I've been tapped awake, like, you definitely feel like a jackass. Like, anybody that's, has been watching you sleep and is like, "Oh, this guy has to wake up." Like, there's just no possible way it's not humiliating for you.
Mhm.
Um, the only way that it's not humiliating for you is if it's extremely painful, and that is if you're in the aisle and your knee creeps into the aisle, and then
Oh,
the
yeah.
snack cart comes by and just
Bashes
hammers.
you.
Yeah, you get like a Chris Finch injury in the
Yeah,
middle of
dude.
your flight. Like that happens enough where I don't know. I like think twice before. I mean, I always fall asleep on these planes, but like I think twice and I'm like, how can I position my knee so I don't just get wrecked when the snack cart comes around?
Dude, that's another, even not when I'm sleeping, like, as somebody who's been in the middle seat a billion times, like, I don't wanna invade their space, and, like, so I'm kinda winging my knee out into the middle, and it's crazy to me, like, the recklessness with which, and I guess, again, this seems like I'm like a flight attendant basher or something, like, they're doing a great job, and I wouldn't do any better at it, but that car comes flying through, and it has bashed my knee, like, many times. It's my fault. I'm, like, throwing my knee in the aisle, but I guess I don't even know what the other solution is, because if they kinda, like, tapped me and were like, "Sir, your knee is in the way," I think I'd hate that too. I think the bash is actually the best
It's the
system.
best way, and it's like, if you're the flight attendant, it's like, "Sir, you're just another statistic, like, just take your medicine on this one." Like, they bash so many knees, like, they couldn't care less, you know what I mean? Like,
They might have a partnership with, like, a knee reconstruction specialist at Rochester Mayo. That could be the case, I'm not sure. So, I am out of plane thoughts for now.
yeah, we've
You have
been
another
buzzing on
vehicle.
this. I have, like, one last, just
Oh, g
recapping the
go for it.
weekend before we get into even a single one of our segments. We might have to have a few go to the next week's pods, but last thing, I'm naming this the bus tooth disaster. So this is the next morning, coming off the next morning from my major flight delay, getting in from Phoenix, and coming off the heels of like 8 glasses of Pinot Gris or whatever I was drinking, Sauv Blanc. I decide, you know what? I'm just going to go work out. And it's part of my routine. I
Wow,
do this
nice.
every day. Not every day. I do this like 3 days a week during weekdays. I get up at 6 and I go into the gym and I take the bus in. And obviously, I'm probably a little groggy, not quite myself. And I'm getting off the bus to go to the gym. And as I stand up, I crack the top of my head against like it's when you sit in the seat, there's like this overhang for like luggage or whatever up there. And I'm always like have my wits about me and I'm smart enough to just like keep my head ducked for a while. Not this day. And I stand up too quickly, hit my head on the top, and then that forced me to recoil down. Like it was kind of like one of those like recoil reactions. And I proceed to slam my tooth or teeth
Oh,
into like this like plastic like handrail that you have on the top of these seats to help you like stand up.
yeah.
You can grab onto them rock hard. And I
Oh, yeah.
just like crack my face into it. And I literally like I like recoil back and I feel shell shocked. I like kind of like get a little bit of tears in my eyes, like not
It was that painful and jarring. Keep
yes.
going, keep
And
going.
so I've
Nobody
like
thinks you're a pussy.
yeah, everybody thinks I'm a pussy. And then like I think it made noise because like I could feel eyes on me as I'm
Oh,
walking off
yeah.
this bus. And I just looked dead forward. And I was like, again, like my head is throbbing. I'm in a ton of pain. I can taste blood in my mouth. So I'm like, fuck, did I lose a tooth?
Oh,
And
god.
I'm like kind of just like sauntering to my gym now. I'm all huffy puffy, upset. And I get into the gym and like I immediately go to a mirror. I check like all of my teeth are in place. So I'm happy. I'm in a ton of pain, but I'm like, okay, this
But
is
I still
fine.
but I still look good, baby.
I don't know about that. And then I get down, I'm like working out and I like lifted one weight and I was like, I am so over this. Like a better man would have used this as fuel to like power through like this
Lift angry.
Herculean, exactly, lifting angry. Bro, I I did about the weakest possible thing. I went and did one of the seated squat racks. You know, not where you're like squatting a bar, but you're
Oh,
like
I
it's
know
like the
exactly what you're
leg
talking
press where
about.
you're just pushing weight. And I
Yep.
put it to like the second lowest weight, and I did like 20 reps. And then I went and I did 6 reps of like a low weight of triceps. So like not even like a full like rep of 10. And then I
Mhm.
just hit the sauna. I was like,
That
I'm
dude,
so mad.
sometimes when your teeth hurt, that's all you can do. I mean, it's, yeah, there's no shame in that, especially, like, if my gym had a sauna. I mean, I guess, I have that membership that's, like, sauna and cold. I love the sauna, so it's
Yes.
sometimes that's all you can do. And you still get your sweat, it's just, like, a little, with
Yeah.
less exertion.
It was a bad week because then I woke up with a sore head the next day and I kind of like half-assed my gym again. And then Thursday I just bagged it. So, which I
Dude,
don't
that
really
is
have an excuse. Like I was fine on Thursday. I just didn't want to go.
yeah, but at that point, the momentum of the week was already going so far the wrong way that you just gotta bag it. Dude, that's I mean, again, with, like, the running in Puerto Rico, the, uh, let's see, Elton or one of these random names we're talking about, I got a complaint because we wake up and he's like, "Dude, you set, like, 10 alarms and you kept turning them off, and I see you're here now. Why the hell are you setting all these alarms?" And like never please never do that again because that was just awful for me because I had set like 7:30 a.m. alarms after we were out until 2 because I was like I'm gonna run, I'm gonna get it done.
Oh, you were
and
not gonna run. I could have
and
told you
yeah,
that.
and so I like bagged run after run after run, and it involved me waking up Elton over and over, like just giving him this like hellish symphony of iPhone rings from my alarms, and it was just terrible. This is like random thought, really not a story, but the one eventful thing from Chicago is I saw a guy fall down an escalator, which was like kind
Oh,
of crazy.
oh, that sounds
Wasn't
bad.
overserved or anything, just like I think he was, like, carrying a lot of, like, camera equipment and, like, just was off balance, but, um, stay safe out there. I don't want you breaking a
Wow.
tooth or, like, it's good it only happened on a bus because if it was on an escalator,
Oh, it'd be a way
it
different
could have been worse.
story. Yeah. Keep your wits about you out there. It's important.
Yeah, all our listeners, be as safe as possible, please. We care about you too much.
Yeah. Okay,
Um,
well, we should go a little rapid fire now. So,
yeah.
this is a new segment. This is I don't know if we'll do it every week cuz somebody has to warrant it, but we're going to do our fan of the week. This week's fan of the week is Lexi from TikTok.
Woohoo!
Woo! She left a very kind comment on one of our videos that we've been posting, and it was basically just like, "This is awesome. I need to actually listen to the podcast." To which we responded, "You rock, Lexi. Please go find us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts." We love you, Lexi. Any other words, Charlie?
Yeah, Lexi, you're doing the Lord's work. We appreciate your support, and we hope to see you, enjoying the podcast in the future. And one quick note before we move to the next segment. Again, Lexi, we love you. Um, let's quickly return to the wine if we can, because I
Oh,
dare say
yes.
its full body has started to open, and I'm picking up a new note, picking up a bit of a new note in here, John.
What
What
you
do you
got,
think about
Charlie?
this? You get any oak in this?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh, yes, Charlie. I'm here. Let me give it a little smell. Definitely oak. I'm not going to go as far to say that it's new French oak because, as you know,
Ooh.
that kind of leaves you with the lingering peppery finish. This isn't
Yeah.
peppery, spicy wine. So I think this is neutral oak, but I am definitely getting what's that quote from The Office? An oaky afterbirth.
Yeah. It's an oaky afterbirth.
Yeah. No, I'm feeling the dragon.
It's good. It's good. It's putting a little fire in my belly, John. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
Lexi, a couple more comments and we'll ship out a crate of Paso Dragon to you.
That's right.
Next segment, fan questions. The other week, we opened up our Instagram DMs to our millions of followers, and we got a lot of great questions. We appreciate the engagement from everybody, and so we'll just run through some of these quickly. One of our questions, which is near and dear to my heart, and I think a lot of listeners will relate to this. What wine pairing would work well with my Sunday evening McDonald's order? Which we imagine is probably chicken McNuggets.
Who doesn't love a good Sunday night McDonald's? It's kind of your get right order for the week. It sets you up for success on come Monday. We felt you were probably eating light with some chicken McNuggets and a wine to pair with this. It's Sunday, right? We want to
Mhm.
keep it light,
Lord's Day.
bright, fresh, and a little bit playful. It needs to pair
Mhm.
well with chicken. I would say things that pair well with chicken probably also pair well with fish. That is how we are getting to a white wine. We think a Pinot Grigio or a Sauvignon Blanc would be fantastic with your Sunday night or Sunday evening McDonald's order. That should do the trick. So next time you're in the Trader Joe's aisle, you got to look for a Pinot Grigio or a Sauv Blanc.
And if you're hitting the Mac late night on Sunday to kind of gear up for the week, we know you like to keep it playful. You got a zest for life. There's a playful wine for you. We recommend also the Mezza Corona specifically. That's my recommendation.
Exactly. You want that huckleberry blasting you in the face? Mezza Corona is your
Huckleberry?
go-to.
Is it
Yeah.
honeysuckle?
Oh,
Not
honeysuckle. Yeah, no, huckleberry is out of right field.
huckleberry thin. Um, okay. You wanna take the
I'll
next
take
one?
this next one. This is great. What wine do we think McSexy drinks? For those of you that don't know McSexy, this is Connor McDavid. He is like the messiah of hockey right now. He's the greatest hockey player since Wayne Gretzky, and he plays for the Edmonton Oilers. That's all you need to know. I'm thinking you need to survive an Edmonton winter. That is a hearty, workmanlike winter. You need something big, bold that will warm your soul. Perhaps a Paso Dragon. I think Connor McSexy is definitely drinking these big, bold, heavy Cabernets to get through these harsh Edmonton winters.
Very good. We'll move on to the next one. This is a question I'm sure very a lot of people are dying to hear the answer to. Can Charlie describe his dream girl? And I'm gonna tell a quick story. So, I was at a wedding a couple years ago that my aunt was also at, and she was saying to me, "I'm gonna be your wing woman tonight. Like, what's your type? Like, what should I be looking for out there in the crowd to kind of help you out or point you in the right direction?"
This is your aunt?
My aunt, yeah,
Nice.
that's how low I've stooped. My aunt is my wingman.
Cool aunt.
Yeah, no, very cool aunt, very cool aunt. And I kind of believed in her abilities, so I was prepared to, and uh, I guess, be a participant in that
Yeah, I like it.
conversation. And so, unbeknownst to me, my dad is behind me when she asked me this question. And so, when she goes, "What's your type?" I assume that that question is asking for a physical characteristic for the most part. Like, obviously, everybody wants a kind, caring, smart person, good heart, all that, right?
Mhm.
And so I say to her, I don't know, blonde. And then my and then my dad like jumps out of the shadows like a fucking cat and goes, "How unbelievably shallow." And then starts saying like exactly what I was saying. He's like, "Your type is blonde? Like how about a girl who has a great heart and like wants the best for you?" And I was just like, "She that's not what she was asking, man."
That's so funny. But in your defense, like, what is your aunt gonna do with great heart? Like, is she gonna have a sit down conversation with every single female at this function?
I
Like, blonde at least allows her to narrow it down.
Yeah, and like I agree, and I was raked over the coals. My dad kinda, like, ended that engagement by scowling and kinda, like, huffy puffy walking off, like, just disappointed in me. I was like, "What do you want me to say?" Like, obviously, I want a girl who is great, but I'm trying to give some advice here.
I love thinking about that from his perspective too, because you know that he must have had an expectation to get that
Yeah,
upset about it. So, like, when he heard your aunt ask you that question, he was probably like, "Wow, I'm really interested to hear what
yeah.
Charlie has to say." Then you hit him with the, "I don't know, blonde."
Yeah, it's like the worst. For again, I will defend that answer, but like against his expectation, that must have been like really crushingly short of the bar. Especially the way I delivered it too. That's like how I said it. I don't know, blonde. like just in like the dumbest, like laziest way.
Yeah, so all you blondies out there,
Yep. That's what I'll stick with. I'll describe my if I had to describe my dream girl, I would say, I don't know, blonde. That's my answer.
that's great. Well, let's move on to the next question. What are some wines you would pair with some of your favorite movies? And I mean,
Ooh.
if I'm thinking about favorite movies, I'm thinking Jungle Book.
Oh god.
I'm thinking Freaky Friday,
Yep.
The Parent
Well,
Trap.
of course.
Yep.
Longest Yard.
Yeah, so I think there's a kind of a two-part answer to this. Something that I didn't talk about earlier. I met an absolute wine legend this week. I won't share his name for privacy reasons, but this was an old geezer. He's the second generation Napa family, but he's the first generation grower. And this is actually a crazy story. He's rich beyond words at this point because back in the day, the government took his parents' farm via eminent domain. The way it works is they pay you what they think is fair market value for your property, but they just take it from you. And then you get X amount of years to find a new suitable property where you get some form of like tax shield. So it's in your best interest to find a new property relatively soon. He was consulting with his lawyers. He was kind of running this process for his parents. One of his lawyers goes, "You should check out St. Helena, which is up in Napa." And they were farmers. And he's like, "Oh, nice. 1,000 acres up in St. Helena. And we have the money from the government to buy this." They bought 1,000 acres in St. Helena, which is Napa, current day Napa,
Mhm.
and they are richer than your wildest dreams now because of this purchase back in the day. And I asked him, I was like, okay, like it's rare that I'm going to meet somebody as powerful and as influential and that's been with Napa for this long in the wine industry. And I'm trying to run a wine podcast. I got to know, how do you find the best wines? Like, what is your favorite wine to drink? And he kind of looks at me, and again, he's like an old geezer, and he just goes, "That's a good question. You should drink whatever tastes good to you."
Oh.
And he left
So he
me with
big
that.
manned you. He big manned
He
you a
big
little
man
bit.
me. Yeah, he was kinda like, "You'll never be rich enough to afford the wines that I like."
Yeah. Stick to
But
Trader
he hit
Joe's, bozo.
but that is true. Like, people that know wine will say, like, at the end of the day, you should drink a wine that tastes good to you. Everybody has a different palate. It's kinda like the cilantro thing where some people think
Mm,
it tastes like soap, some people think it tastes great, and it's all genetics. Like, go with the wine you like. So,
mm.
if you're watching your favorite
I don't
movie,
know.
you gotta go with your favorite wine. But I will say, to that point, Merlot. Merlot has been described as the quintessential red wine. Like, basically, the way that I've been told to think about Merlot is when somebody thinks red wine, this is like the idea that they have in their head. So you want a drinkable table wine, movie wine, whatever you want to call it, order up a Merlot. It is a crowd pleaser. It will agree with everybody's palate, and give it a shot. Next time you're watching a movie, whether it be The Incredibles or Dark Knight or La La Land, I think a nice pairing with a Merlot will get you through.
So, I guess to rehash some of those comments quickly, I appreciate the anecdote. What I'll come short of a guarantee. I give a what's just a level below a promise and a guarantee.
A soft lock.
A soft lock to our listeners. Those of you who are curious about what the best wine is, I will not give you a wishy-washy, it's in your heart answer. I'm here to determine what the best wine is. And that's, me and John and I have been compiling our rankings for each of these wines, both on pod and off pod. So at some point, I will have an answer for you all. So just stay tuned. But in terms of favorite movie wine pairing, on my end, it's maybe not my all-time favorite movie, but the movie I've seen by far more than any other movie is The Big Lebowski. And I was doing a little research. There's actually a bottle of wine called The Dude Napa Red 2020, $37 a bottle, named after the main character in the movie, who is refers to himself as the Dude and is often called Dude or the Dude or Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing. Yeah, that's what I would recommend if you were watching The Big Lebowski. But
Hmm.
I'll find you the best wine. Just stick with us, my you know Cork
I
Nation.
mean, Charlie, I'm going to challenge you here.
Yeah.
You said you recently watched The Parent Trap, you loved it, you reviewed it,
Yeah.
etcetera.
Yep. Yep. It
If
was
you
very
had
good.
to watch it again and you needed a wine to pair with it, what are you pairing with The Parent Trap?
Parent Trap has white wine written all over it to me. It's a playful romp. And so it says
Wait, I was
it's
thinking
kind
that
of a
same vibe. Keep going,
it's a
keep going.
summertime movie to me. Like I feel like you'd want something a dry white is I think what I would have enjoyed because then you can kind of if you're watching it with one if you were watching it alone they could be different but if you're watching it with a group of people I think you go with a dry playful white you each have a couple
That's gonna be
glasses
your Sauv
you
Blanc. That's
laugh
gonna
you
be
cry that movie's good got a 5 out of 5 on my letterbox
yeah.
but yeah that's what I would recommend.
Well, hey, here's this. So, I'm
Actually, you
kinda
know
like
what? Actually, I gotta put a stamp on it. I'm actually going with a Chardonnay. I'm going with
a
a Chardonnay
Chardonnay.
for that movie. Yeah.
Whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, like, you could get your Sunday evening McDonald's and throw on Parent Trap and have a Sauv Blanc, but if we're gonna put a stamp on it and say Chardonnay, next time I watch Parent Trap, I'm getting a Chardonnay, and
Alright.
I'm
That's
looking forward
yeah,
to it.
no, that'll be a beautiful night for you. So our next question is one we are going to just move past, but I will read it anyway. What's the best wine to pair with Malort? Can you show us on the pod? And so that would involve us taking a shot of Malort, which I refuse to do ever again. If anybody who's listening has been to Chicago or you have friends in Chicago, first time you visit, they're going to trick you and say there's this like sweet liqueur you need to try or just weave some sort of
Oh,
lie.
you have to take a Malort shot. It's so
Yeah,
good.
and then you take it and your night is instantly ruined. So we will not be doing that. There's no wine that could pair with it. And I'm happy
Probably
to move.
barefoot.
Yeah.
Barefoot.
No,
Putting a stamp on
actually it
it.
might be Franzia. I'm just
That was the other one I was
you go
thinking. I was
bottom of
trying
the
to I
barrel.
was yes, this is a bottom shelf wine. We're going Franzia or Barefoot. That's what you're gonna take with your Malort shot. Go give it a
And you're
try.
taking it out of the bag too. You're not getting a bottle. You're going out of the bag if you're pairing it with Malort.
That's right. That is right. All right, next one, rapid fire, because this is gonna be our last segment. We're running out of time. The story behind your branding. This is a nice question, and I appreciate the question. Unfortunately, I don't have a great answer. I can tell you like the name Fully Corked, a little bit of a play on words, and yeah, maybe part of it is PG, part of it is PG-13. The PG part is what's the worst possible wine you can drink? It's corked wine. But what's the best possible podcast you can listen to? It's Fully Corked.
Mhm.
So, it's kind of like a little dichotomy
Oh
of
yeah.
two ends,
Oh
it's like a
yeah.
yin and a yang. So that's part of it. And then pink and yellow are colors. I mean, it's just dope. It's like
Pink lemonade.
it's kind of light, vibrant. I think it makes us feel approachable. How do you feel about the pink and the yellow, Charlie?
I like it. I'm actually pretty sure I pushed for the pink background.
Hmm.
And I suppose there wasn't a tremendous amount of analysis that went into that, but when we were looking at backgrounds and kind of John was certainly doing the heavy lifting on like our visuals. That's the one I don't know. I just thought if I saw two really handsome guys holding up wine with a pink background, I might click on it. So that's my input into the brand. John's a little bit more of our champion of steering our branding. So
I try. I majored in marketing in school, so I give it
were
my
you
best
were you
shot.
double major?
Yep,
Oh, look at
that's
you.
right. Really smart.
Yeah, I guess I was too.
Yeah, and we're gonna continue to push only the best wines. Still in Trader Joe's, we may venture out. You never know. This Paso Dragon is kicking. It's really opened up. How are you thinking, Charlie? Any last thoughts before we end this one?
Um, let's see. I guess as far as the wine, I continue to feel like it outperforms the price tag. And I guess if I had to throw out one other flavor, I don't even know what this is describing, but did you say this was red fruit earlier? Because I'd almost venture it feels like deeper flavor, like
It's
a
deep
black fruit.
flavor. Yeah.
Is that a
Oh,
thing?
what could that
I
even
don't
be?
know. Like a what color is a plum? What color is a
Bro,
oh,
basically
blackberry?
black. Yeah,
Blackberry?
no, you're feeling it, bro. You're feeling blackberries, plums. This is come on, Charlie. You're
I'm
doing it.
getting there. I'm getting there. I'm
You're
getting
doing it.
there. Well, I think we're wrapping up here. So to all of our listeners, as always, please, if you find any time in your day, to get on YouTube, throw us a follow along on the video. We appreciate everybody tuning in. We love you like a son and a daughter, or anything else like that. You're our family now. You're our family, and
Yep.
we appreciate you.
Hit us with the like, comment, subscribe. This is the shameless plug, but we are on many platforms and we just got to get it out there. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. We are on
Shout
TikTok.
out Lexi on
And then
TikTok.
shout out Lexi on TikTok, fan of the week. Might you be next week's fan of the week?
Who
Give it
knows?
your best
Drop a
shot.
couple
Give us a nice
comments.
comment.
Yeah.
We'd love a nice comment. We'd love a
I
share.
actually
Share us with your friends. Like let them know, we're just out here trying to review wine and bring you only the best, like this Paso Dragon.
so actually this could maybe be taken offline, but what is our timeline criteria for fan of the week? Because I already got a guy in mind. There was another really good comment that we, could because Lexi was the winner rightfully this week, but there's some
Yeah.
pretty good comments this week.
You know what? I hate to say it, but I think we can only have one fan of the week, and
Okay.
it's just they're gonna cream rises to the top,
Yeah.
right?
You got to show
Like
up. Rent
you,
is due
you
every
got to
day.
show up
You
and
got to
show
show
out
up.
week in and week out. We're gonna be posting,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
so you're gonna have your shot. You're gonna have your
All you
chance.
people who are still looking for that high honor of fully corked fan of the week, you got to just keep coming. And we appreciate it, everybody, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Until next
Bye bye.
time, see you guys.